Welcome back to another episode of Center Court. I'm your host, Alex Meacham. We have a stellar show centered around the exciting sport of boxing. Normally our show is broken down into 4 quarters, just like a basketball game, but to keep with the theme of this episode, we will have 12 rounds, just like a championship boxing match. We'll be going through the rich history and current state of Cincinnati boxing through our interview with Cincinnati Fitness Boxing. We also learn about the extravagant lifestyle of Cincinnati's own champion boxer, Adrian "The Problem" Broner. That's right, AB. As well as find out what it's like to meet the biggest face of boxing today, Floyd "Money" Mayweather. So join us as we jump into the ring, jab and dodge our way to the knockout on this edition of Center Court. All right, since this is an episode about boxing, I have to tell the story about when I first met Floyd Mayweather. So I'm out in LA, all right? So I'm on vacation in LA. Got a good friend named Jordan Crawford who plays for the New York Knicks D-League. You'll hear about Jordan later on in this show. We do an interview with Jordan. So Jordan lives in Vegas. Jordan became very, very good friends with Floyd Mayweather. So when I'm in LA, I reach out to Jordan. I said, hey, I'd like to come visit you in Vegas, and if I could spend some time with you and even meet Floyd Mayweather. He says, well, let me check with Floyd and I'll get back to you. So he texts me back later in the day and he says, yeah, Floyd said it's cool if you come on out. Get in the car, drive from LA to Vegas. All right, so I go meet Jordan. We have dinner. During dinner, Floyd texts him and says, hey, come meet us at the comedy club. All right, so we're at dinner and I'm like, oh, cool, this is gonna happen, awesome. So we get in the car. So it's my buddy Jake, who lives in LA, and Jordan. We drive on over to the comedy club. Pull up to the comedy club. There's this Rolls Royce Phantom sitting out front, and I'm like, Floyd's here. I know that car. So we walk in, and as we walk in, we see his big bodyguards. You know those guys you see on the TMZ videos following him and always around him. So I reach out my hand, I shake all the guys' hands. Very cool guys. Bodyguards are big, but very nice guys. So they say, Floyd's in the back. So we start walking to the back of the VIP part of the club, and I look, there he is, Floyd Mayweather, sitting down by himself, just looking around. So I start to walk up. Now I'm wearing a pair of Air Jordan 7 Myros. For those sneakerheads out there, you know what I'm talking about. This shoe is, filled with, got paint all over them and just really bright, loud shoes. So as I start to walk up, Floyd looks at my feet and he looks at my shoes and he's like, hey, Michael Jordan's not the greatest basketball player of all time. So I'm like, what? Now, I'm a huge Floyd Mayweather fan. So I'm like, do I argue with him? What do I do? So I look at my buddy Jake, and Jake's like, what's going on? So I'm like, hey man, Michael's the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't know what you're talking about. So Floyd looks at me, he's like, are you crazy? So we start arguing for about 10 minutes. Still haven't, shook hands or anything. Just standing face to face, talking about Michael Jordan and basketball. Now Floyd knows his basketball. So we get towards the end of the conversation and he goes, well, Floyd says to me, if you're gonna come to my gym and watch me train, you can't wear those shoes. I'm like, Floyd, I don't have any other shoes. What do you want me to do? And he's like, hey, anybody got any other shoes for this guy? And I'm like, are you serious? So he looks at me with this stare and he goes, I'm just kidding. And he gives me a big hug. And I'm like, whew, well, that was pretty cool. So then we sit down, watch the comedy show. Show's over. We go out to the outside VIP part of this club. So we're outside, Floyd's sitting on this chair, it kind of looks like a throne, and my buddy Jordan and Jake and I are in the corner and we're talking about basketball. All right, so I do this little crossover move. And right as I'm doing the crossover move, Floyd looks at me and he says, hey, did you play basketball? And I'm like, yeah, I played at University of Cincinnati for Bob Huggins. He's like, oh man, what years and who'd you play with? So I tell him, Kenyon Martin, Ruben Patterson. He's like, I remember you guys. You guys were a good team. So I was like, yeah, cool, thanks. So then he jumps back up, comes over, starts talking to me for a while. Just talking to me about basketball, boxing, just life stuff. He asked me what I do for a living, just really, really nice guy. So I'm just like, man, this is cool. So finally he goes, time to go train, let's go. So everybody jumps in their car. We go to the Mayweather Boxing Club, all right? So we get over to the Mayweather Boxing Club, walk in. Floyd's talking for just 2 hours straight about the time he first started boxing, all the way up to now, Pacquiao, just all stories that were just stories you love to tell people. I can't tell all of them on camera. So finally, when he finishes his stories, I'm like, man, is he gonna train? And right now it's about, I'd say around 2:30 a.m. So he goes, changes clothes, comes back up, and as he's walking out to come to the boxing ring, and I'm sitting right by the ring, he looks at me and he goes, little light work, about to get a little light work in. He's just looking dead at me. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm excited to watch him box. So he goes on, boxes for about, just does a workout for about 2 hours or so. So it's about 4 a.m. Finishes his boxings, walking by me, and again, he goes, little light work, little light work. So he walks by, so I get up, follow him out, walk out to the outer part of the facility, and there's a video arcade game. And believe it or not, it's Pac-Man, Pac-Man video game. So he goes over there and plays the Pac-Man game for about 20 minutes. I'm like, man, it's like 4:30 a.m. at this point. So he finishes playing Pac-Man, he turns around, and he looks at me. So I look at him and I'm like, I better go ahead and ask now, hey Floyd, can I get a picture? And he looks at me, he's like, absolutely. And I'm like, cool. So his bodyguards come over and they're like, oh, come over here. No, come over here, it's better lighting. They were just like so nice, and I'm just like, cool. This guy's like great. His people, his entourage, everybody's really cool. So we take the picture. I thank him. He's like, hey man, it's a pleasure meeting you. I said likewise, and I shake hands with his bodyguards. Just really, really cool people. And this is not the last time I meet Floyd Mayweather. So if you watch later in the show, you'll hear part 2 of when I saw Floyd Mayweather here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati has a rich tradition of boxing dating back to the 1940s with the emergence of the great Ezzard Charles. Ezzard Charles may have been born in Georgia, but he moved to Cincinnati when he was 9. The Cincinnati Cobra made its professional debut on March 15, 1940, and the match ended in a one-round knockout, and he continued his dominant boxing career for 15 years, ending with a final record of 93-25, not even counting his 42-0 that he achieved when he was an amateur. Through the course of his prolific career, Ezzard became the first boxer from Cincinnati to hold the heavyweight world championship title. The influence of Ezzard has set the standard for all Cincinnati boxers to come today. And he also isn't the only great boxer from Cincinnati as well. The torch was passed down to Aaron Pryor, who from 1976 to 1990 went 39-1 with 35 knockouts as a professional. Nicknamed the Hawk, Aaron Pryor was the reigning welterweight world champion from 1980 to 1987 and was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1996. And this leads us to the man who is currently keeping the Cincinnati boxing tradition alive and thriving today, Adrian Broner. Adrian has been boxing since 2008 and is nicknamed The Problem. And being 31-2 with 23 knockouts makes this nickname very fitting. Adrian is the current light welterweight champion, and he truly lives like one. On our next segment, we delve deeper into the extravagant life of Adrian The Problem Broner.
In the wise words of Wiz Khalifa, work hard, play hard. This is a motto many people live by, and no one knows better than Cincinnati's own Adrian Broner. There is no doubt in his work ethic when it comes to preparing for a fight, but when AB has some time off, he really earns the nickname The Problem.
For most of us, when we come into some money, we usually put it in the bank or make some sound investments. Apparently, AB has found some other uses for his money. In a 2013 YouTube video, Adrian can be seen ripping up hundreds of $20 bills and eventually flushing them down the toilet. And most recently, AB went to Walmart, and when he was handed his change, he said to the cashier and everyone in line, "He must not know. I'm AB. I don't need no change, bruh." And he threw his money in the air, making it rain in Walmart. Besides boxing and finding some creative places to put his money, Adrian has some other business ventures that deserve the limelight. He's the founder of About Billions, a Cincinnati-based hip-hop label which is affiliated with Rick Ross's Maybach Music Group. About Billions is home to local stars such as Young Buddha, B-Luck, Big Vern, Day One, and Prince Rowe. As Wiz Khalifa once said, the bigger the bill, the harder you ball. Having such a crazy lifestyle can get you into a bit of trouble. Broner was just released from prison after his involvement in a bowling alley brawl. Shortly after being released, a boxing writer asked him about his situation. He responded with this.
He is obviously a guy that doesn't take himself too seriously, but if he were to focus the energy into the ring, he could be the next face of boxing. Welcome to our heavyweight debate here at Center Court. We're going to debate boxing movies. To my right, we have
Palmer the Show Bowman.
Oh, wow. To my left, we have
Pretty Boy Gus Stewart.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. Top 2 greatest boxing movies of all time.
My second favorite of all time is the original Rocky. It set the standard for all boxing movies to come, and the template has still been used throughout all boxing movies. And my favorite is Rocky IV. It took everything great about the original Rocky, and the fact that it was taking place during the Cold War made it really one of the most American movies of all time.
Pretty Boy?
So number 2 for me has got to be The Fighter, directed by David O. Russell, starring Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale. Really takes a glimpse of how, although it's an individual sport, family is so involved for better or for worse. And then number 1 is Raging Bull, directed by Scorsese, starring De Niro and Pesci. You cannot beat that cast or crew. And it really just mastered, you know, the boxer's life and the trials and tribulations that you go through in and outside of the ring as a boxer.
No Ali?
Didn't make the cut for me.
Fresh Prince?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Can't make a valid opinion.
Oh, I thought it was a great movie. All right, the worst boxing movie of all time.
Got to go with Grudge Match. Took Rocky and the Raging Bull, and they just pinned them together in a comedy, and it just did not work. Kevin Hart couldn't even save that thing.
Oh, my guy, little Kevin Hart.
I was not a fan of Southpaw. I thought 50 Cent should just stick to rapping.
All right, let's talk about Creed. Creed just came out in the theaters and it's getting rave reviews.
Yeah, I still haven't had a chance to go see it, but the fact that the Rocky franchise is still alive and thriving is just fantastic.
Agreed.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome that Stallone took a step back and let MBJ, Michael B. Jordan, really accelerate into his career, and I thought it was the best Rocky movie in years, no doubt.
If you go on to Google and you search boxing movies, you'll see a long list of movies. Fighting has been a part of boxing and movies for a long time, and some of the greatest movies of all time have had fight scenes and boxing in them. Let's talk about 2 of the greatest movies of all time, Fight Club and Pulp Fiction.
So obviously Fight Club has those fighting elements in it, and by far it's my favorite movie I've ever seen. It has gritty direction, fantastic acting, by far greatest movie I've ever seen.
What are the rules to fight?
Don't talk about it. We've already broke them.
Yep, you better.
Yeah.
Yep. Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction is so iconic in so many ways, and Bruce Willis's character is a boxer who does not succumb to a fixed fight and then an unimaginable sequence of events pursue.
God, well said. Well said.
Thank you.
So there are 2 movies, boxing movies, that are being filmed in Cincinnati. Miles Davis and also Tiger, that were filmed down at Cincinnati Fitness Boxing. We had an opportunity to go down to Cincinnati Fitness Boxing and talk with Jeff Perry and learn a little bit more about the gym, which you'll see up here shortly. But I want to thank the show and Pretty Boy for being on the heavyweight debate.
On this segment, we take a trip down to Cincinnati Fitness and Boxing to catch up with co-owner and coach Jeff Perry, as well as UC Boxing team member Darius Brown, to find out how an old warehouse was transformed into the epicenter of the Cincinnati boxing community.
All right, Jeff, talk to us a little bit about the start of CFB.
So Cincinnati Fitness Boxing started in 2009. So we've been open 6 years. Basically, I started boxing probably in the early 2000s. Just a friend of mine invited me to a gym, a boxing gym she was going to. I loved to work out before that. I was into boxing, into UFC and MMA before that, but never really trained in anything. She invited me to a gym, a boxing gym in the early 2000s. I forget the exact year. I went once and never stopped going back. Trained there for years. Eventually that gym closed up in early 2009, and that's when me and a fellow trainer from that gym decided, hey, why don't we start our own gym? There's a lot of people that still want to come to the boxing gym. They don't have a place to go to now. Why don't we start our own? So I got certified, became a certified boxing coach. We started up in 2009. I've been going strong ever since.
Tell us what goes on here at CFB. What are the different programs you have?
So we have programs from all ages, from ages 5 up to people in their 60s and even low 70s taking classes and learning boxing here. So our core business is what we call fitness boxing classes. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all class. It's the general motto, what we tell people, it's train like a boxer without getting punched in the face. What I spend a lot of my time with is coaching our competitive teams. So we have a high school boxing team here at the gym, which actually started at Moeller High School in the mid-90s, and then we took it over from Moeller in 2010, and we're running out of the gym here. It's a high school boxing team. It's open to students from any school in the area. I have about 30 kids from about 15 area high schools on the team. And then I also coach the University of Cincinnati Boxing Club. So we have about 40 kids from UC that are in the boxing club. And so I coach the two competitive teams, the high school team and the University of Cincinnati team.
And we sat down with a member of the UC boxing team, Darius Brown.
Darius, tell us a little bit about how you got started in boxing.
I've always competed in fighting sports. When I was younger, I did karate, but specifically boxing. I started here when I was in 8th grade, the kickboxing program. It was really cool. My coach was Marty.
At what point did you really fall in love with it?
I always kind of like beating people up as it seems like fighting. I like the whole idea of it. When I really started to kind of like get good at it, when I start to I'm always a competitive person, but when I started to see myself like progressing, that's when I really started falling in love with it. About as soon as I started doing it.
So what about your coaches here? Tell us a little bit about your coaches, who's helped you out.
All my coaches here have helped me out. Jeff, Tim, Coach Kenny. You know, they all have specific parts where they're really, really good at. Like Coach Jeff is really good at getting me in shape. Tim is really good at giving me certain moves like pull back and really help me set up my right hand. Kenny helps me enforce the technique of boxing, so it all kind of form together as one finished product, which is really good.
Now, has boxing provided a certain discipline for you in your life?
It has. Because normally you would think, oh, you would get into altercation out in public. Oh, I'm about to whoop him. I box, you know. In my case, I box. It's no point.
Right.
It's no point, you know.
I've heard a lot of fighters say that. So tell us, what's the future of CFB?
Future of CFB, just really looking to grow our core classes like we're doing now. I own the gym along with two other guys, Kenny Christo and Ben Schneider. They just took over ownership with me this past year. And since they've joined, just kind of things have blown up in the past year that we've gotten tons of new equipment, kind of redone the look and feel of the gym. People love the atmosphere we have here. It's just a really positive energy place.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to your Center Court social media segment. Today we're going to talk about some of the most trending topics going on today. We're going to start off with some Manny Pacquiao. He is one of the top boxers in the entire world. He's from the Philippines and he's currently running for office there. And during an interview, he made kind of a controversial statement. He said that same-sex couples shouldn't have the freedom to marry. And he even took it further to Instagram, quoting multiple Bible verses and just kind of throwing his opinion about same-sex couples out there. The post was up for about 2 hours and then he took it down. It was deleted. Since that happened, Nike has dropped their sponsorship with him and he has released an apology, posted a couple videos onto Instagram apologizing for those opinions that he stated. Everyone has their own opinions, but I think in the world we live in today, you should probably keep those kind of opinions to yourself. Moving on, let's talk about some Ronda Rousey. She recently just opened up about her emotional loss against Holly Holm on the Ellen DeGeneres show. She admitted to having suicidal thoughts and she said, quote, "I'm nothing, what do I do anymore? And no one cares about me anymore without this." With support from her boyfriend, who is a fellow UFC star, she said she was able to overcome those suicidal thoughts and she promised her fans that she would be back. Moving on to some Kanye West, he seems to always be in the news. His Yeezy Season 3 just premiered at New York Fashion Week. His album Life of Pablo just dropped and he just admitted to being $53 million in personal debt on Twitter. I want to end this segment with a great quote by Kanye West. He said, "I am the Jordan and Steph Curry of music, meaning I'm the best of two generations." End quote. What do you guys think about that? Thanks for watching our Center Court social media segment.
In this Off the Court segment, we flew out to Las Vegas to catch up with a close friend of the show, Jordan Crawford. Jordan currently plays for the New York Knicks D-League team, the Westchester Knicks. Jordan is from
Cincinnati, Ohio.
We sat down with JC to talk about his hometown and how he's working toward his goal of making it to the NBA.
Okay. What does Cincinnati mean to you?
It's definitely made me to the person who I am today. I think it's a great culture for basketball. We got a lot of talented guys there, whether they went to play or didn't play. Still, a lot of talent still there in the city. All my friends are at. My family, everybody's from there. I'm real close with all of them. So the food, I love the food. I miss it every time I leave to go when I went to Europe.
Let's talk about the food.
Gold Star.
Okay, Gold Star. Gold Star over Skyline?
Yes.
Okay.
I like Gold Star. The Rose's Pizza.
Okay.
What else? Frisch's. I love Frisch's.
All right.
Penn Station. I know it's not. I don't know if it's from there or not.
Yeah, it is.
I love Penn Station. It's not good for me, but it's so good.
So you mentioned something earlier, your family. Let's talk about your mom and dad and how you were raised and what they did for you when you were young.
Oh man, I don't know. There's no way for me to thank them for what they did. I always had everything that I wanted. Anything I asked, I always got. They made me work hard. They teach me everything to be the man I am today. Put me in the right position for school. And even after college and I wanted to pursue my career, they put out a lot of money for me to travel here and there to do what I had to do. And without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. There's nothing I can do to thank them. And with me traveling now with my daughter, my parents do a great job. So I'm really thankful to have them in my life, and they were my biggest role models.
Let's go through a little bit of your story. Now, one of the things about you is along the ride here, whether it was grade school to high school to college to now, people doubted you.
Man, it probably started back, always growing up. My first game, I was 3 years old, with referees.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't play because I wasn't old enough. So my dad's friend had a team, and the only way he helped coach. So that was the only way I could play. So that's when I started really playing, under the whistle. And then I was always small, and I was always talented. And then I went to Cincinnati Christian in my 8th grade year. Leaving there, I was gonna go to LaSalle to play, and everybody was like, "That's a tough league, GCL, good basketball, and I don't think you'll make it over there." And freshman year, I did good, and then JV year, I played good, played a little varsity, and then my junior and senior year, I did really well. Then they said I couldn't get a scholarship. I got a scholarship, Division II. Then they said I'll just do that and go about my life. I wound up getting out of that, got a Division I scholarship. Said I was gonna ride the bench for 4 years. I really did think I was gonna ride the bench too. And the first game, I got Jordan go in. I was the first sub, and I was so nervous. And then
And tell everybody what school that was at.
Bowling Green State University, Coach Louis Orr.
Coach Louis Orr. A lot of Cincinnati ties with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even there, a lot of people just say I couldn't make it. It's what people don't realize. I've been this size my whole life. I'm used to playing people taller than me. So it's not an adjustment for them. It's adjustment for them to guard me. So and then after that, they said I couldn't play pro. And then now I want to go play pro. Now I'm trying to get to the NBA, and it's still the same way. So it's been motivation for me all my life.
All right, let's talk a little bit about fashion. All right, so since I've known you, you've always been into fashion. All right, and now you seem to be into fashion more than ever. All right, I see your Instagram, your Twitter. You're always styling. What's fashion to you?
I think fashion is expressing yourself. Most things I do, I do it because I want to. I'm not really looking at if somebody tells me I don't like that, or man, your jeans is too tight, or this and that. It don't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing what I feel. That's what I want to do that day. I think it's just another way of expressing who I am. And I take interest in it. I watch, look on Instagram and see different families. Let me try this. I had to have my hair all different mohawk, orange mohawk.
Yeah, I've seen you go through a lot of
strips in my head, all types of things. So,
Yeah. What do we have going on now? What do we call this?
I'm working on my man bun. Right now it's not up. I just got my curls right now. Curls for the girls.
Curls for the girls.
Yeah.
That's working out for you, right? There you go. So let's jump back and talk about potentially an NBA career. What do you have to do to make that happen? Have you sat there and thought like, okay, I've got to do this and this, and I'll have my opportunity and my chance?
I think with everybody in the NBA, something stands out with each person in the league. Somebody has one thing they do really, really good, whether it's rebounding, a good defender, can shoot the ball, dribble the ball, a good leader, somebody good in the locker room. It's always one thing that stands out, and I just gotta find that one thing that stands out. And I think it's just I know my size could be an advantage for me. I'm probably the shortest person. Just having a heart, and I think I'm a good guy that gets along with everybody. I could be a fan favorite, and I feel like I got the talent to do it. And like all the time now, like I feel like I'm getting closer and closer. Like I don't know, I know I would be nervous my first game.
Oh sure.
It'd be crazy, and then be off the chain. But I'm ready for it though.
So Jordan, is there anyone you want to thank?
I just want to thank my big brother, Adrian Bronner, and my big brother, Floyd Mayweather. He's taking me to the next level. I appreciate everything you've done for me, and we're going to make sure we make it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great interview with Jordan Crawford. And speaking of basketball and Jordan Crawford, you and I had an opportunity to go to the Cavs vs. Hawks preseason NBA game at the Cintas Center here in Cincinnati. We ran into Jordan Crawford, and he brought a special guest with him. It was
Floyd Mayweather.
That's right. Tell him a little bit about the story. Go ahead.
So
I'll be quiet.
I get a text from Meech earlier in the week asking if I want to go to the Cavs game. Easy answer was yes. Get to see LeBron play live at the Cintas Center.
LBJ, the king.
And a little bit into the second quarter, all the energy shifts to the baseline. The cameramen, even some of the players, they see Floyd, and Jordan Crawford is sitting right next to him, courtside on the baseline. And Meech is getting all these texts, what's going on. So after the game, we kind of let it cool off, and we go down to meet Floyd at a building we won't name, downtown.
That's right.
And we walk into the building and probably take it up to the 15th floor.
Yep.
And there's a couple of different rooms, got a round table, and Meech sees Jordan Crawford at the round table.
Hey, the door's kind of half cracked. I see him. Go ahead.
So Meech walks in, and we're just really not even sure what's going on or what the deal is. And Meech is, signaling like, come on in here, hurry up, come on in here.
And tell him too, I told you on the way up, when you get in there, don't say a word.
Cool.
Be a fly on the wall.
Be cool.
Be cool.
So we get in there, and the full money team, all of his bodyguards, his photographer, some of his friends, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
We've got enough Gold Star chili and nada, for so many people. We walk in there, and at the middle of the table is Floyd Mayweather.
That's right.
So we're just hanging out there for a little bit, and Meech sees him, and Floyd
immediately starts a debate with me, just like we did in Vegas. He sees my shoes. What shoes do you have on? Of course I got on Jordans. Jordan's not the greatest of all time, so here I go again with Floyd, debating on who the greatest basketball player is of all time. And we know who it is, Michael Jordan.
My man Floyd, Money May.
Oh, Dave, what's up?
Me and him just always talk basketball.
Yeah, we know who the best basketball player it is.
MJ.
Well, Floyd likes to debate, so we're going back and forth. Then all of a sudden, Gus decides to speak up while I'm debating with Floyd. Tell him.
So we're talking about the greatest of all time, and Floyd says, how can it be MJ? He doesn't have the most points of all time. And this was my window of opportunity, and I say, he doesn't have the most rings either. And immediately after I say that, Floyd makes direct eye contact, looks at me, points at me, and then 3 times says, who is that kid?
Yep.
Who is that kid? Who is that kid?
Oh no.
Meech is in the corner losing it, like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And he comes up to me, gives me a high five, a hug, and goes, I like the way you think.
And I'm going, what are you? And I'm pushing Floyd back, like, no, don't. And I told you, what are you doing? You shouldn't be talking.
And that just set the tone for the rest of the night.
It did.
Hey Floyd, who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
Me.
We got there around 10, 7 o'clock game. After the game, we didn't leave till 12:30. Floyd had to take the jet.
Yep.
I think he was going back to Miami. And, you know, he was just so engaging, such a great personality, a lot of charisma, really nice guy, offering me food, taking pictures, having a genuine conversation. It was just really refreshing.
And what's great is that you can tell people this because people know I'm a huge Floyd Mayweather fan, so people think I'm biased when I met him, that he's a great guy, but here you come into it and you leave there with the same impression that this is a different guy than what sometimes people see on TV. Agree?
Absolutely. Great guy, really, really nice, and I'm a huge fan.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Floyd, and thanks, Meech.
Yeah,
It
man.
was awesome.
Glad you had a chance of a lifetime to meet an athlete at that level.
No doubt.
Yep.
Greatest entertainer in the world.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching this special episode on boxing. You know, we ventured outside of the basketball, football, baseball world and got into the ring. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you tune in to the next episode.
Like all the time, how you gonna be famous in this world if you don't want to put makeup on? You ain't put makeup on. Yeah.
I ain't Floyd.
No. But you wear tight pants.
What's that mean?
Stories that you heard, make sure you tune in to our next episode. That stunk.
Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day.